Hi, everyone. Welcome. There was such great energy last week with the number of participants and the topics that this has been a great opportunity for the association to provide a forum and a platform and for you all to put together some wonderful resources. So we're really happy to support your efforts, support what you're doing working from home and all the places, and really coming together as a group. So welcome, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Joan. Just to get started, I'll switch the slide in just a second so we have more like our agenda points that we had mentioned in the post that you saw on the education board when you registered. But just a couple of reminders. If you are not talking, it's always good to self-mute because a lot of times there's background noises, the dog starts barking, all those things. And it's good to self-mute until you're ready to talk. The first time talking, you want to make sure to introduce yourself, if you will, and say where you're from. You can also, I believe, turn off and on your video selectively. I know sometimes when we get a lot of people, it is, you know, the video can change a bit quality-wise. As much as possible, it's great for everyone to have the opportunity to share. So if you have already shared something, maybe give some options to others. I didn't get a final count of how many people we have in this gathering, but I think it might be 60-ish or so. So definitely a good number of people. In the chat area, this is a good place if you have a resource or what have you to kind of put a URL, something like that there, and certainly feel free to use the question and answer area as well. Gabe Tylov, the vice chair, is going to be helping to monitor the question and answer location as well. So I think everybody hopefully is seeing our agenda coming up on the screen. A lot of this really got going last week. It's almost weird to think another week has gone by that we've all been working from home. And I think, Joan, do you have a poll that you were going to send out to people just to get the pulse on the garden community?
I'd love to. Yeah, this is just a fun little icebreaker just to check in with each other because we all know that you all have been concerned and wondering how everyone else is doing of your colleagues. So just for a little bit fun, we wanted to open this launch poll. So if you want to take a look at how are we doing, please feel free to start clicking your options. I believe you have the option of selecting more than one. What's been the biggest challenge for you in working from home?
Yeah, I hate when my dog wants the screen time. Man, I'm like, I have to work.
It's for me training myself to look at the camera and not at my picture.
See, I do the same thing. You're right, because see, all of your photos are on the right-hand side and I'm looking at you.
Right. Okay. Well, everyone is finished. So let's take a look at the end.
Because then you
all miss your
compiled, right?
You all miss your coworkers. There you go, 39%, followed by not eating everything in my house. That's nice. Followed by 30%,
that's cute.
30% taking time away from the screen, followed by your pets and children, and then of course, I'm glad to see everyone's getting dressed. That's good.
Yeah, that might be too TMI.
Thank you.
Joan, I don't actually see the results of the poll. It's not popping up on my screen. I don't know. And I also don't have a chat button on my oh, there they are. Good. I also don't have a chat
that's
button
fun.
I think we switched to, you could just post in Q&A. The chat is, in the meeting format.
I just
And we
wanted to
switched
make
to
sure
a webinar
I had-
format for this.
Yeah, just want to make sure we hadn't missed something. So there is no chat. It's just Q&A. Good.
Right. Take it away, Kristie.
Oh, got it. Thank you, Corrine. Okay, awesome. So do we just want to kind of start, kind of sharing again where we are at with, trying to engage with various audiences. We started to talk, about that a little bit last week. There's all kinds of situations between just, obviously staying connected to our constituents, the people who are really missing coming to see and to be with us, or missing the 6-week program that they signed up for to learn about this or that, or to take yoga. All of the parents at home with kids that now, are really looking for more resources. Seniors, other people who just may be alone. Again, there's so many different groups of people that we touch and maybe touching now that are, all over and finding us in this virtual way. So we figured we would open it up for some more of that discussion, and, how you're using programming. And again, I know a lot of these things may kind of morph into each other. It's not necessarily exactly the kind of thing that we'll talk all about this, and then we just talk about making engagements interactive, and then are we charging for it, and then what's working or not working. Something tells me it'll be a bit organic, but let's just kind of open up the floor, so to speak, and it'd be great if folks want to start sharing.
Well, this is Lindy Toohill at the Nicholas Conservatory in Rockford, Illinois. We just did our very first virtual yoga class. We just finished about an hour and a half ago, so that's why I'm in my yoga clothes. But so it worked out really well. We had 6 people sign up, which I feel like was pretty good for a 2 or 3 day notice kind of thing, and everything worked out fantastic. We charged about $2 less than we would our normal yoga program, and I think it'll be good for at least keeping us relevant and keeping us with our people.
That's great. So are you going to start to offer that kind of weekly, and then people can just kind of pay as they go? Or how did you set it up as far as people kind of registering for it, if you will?
Yeah.
Or is it like a multiple week kind of thing that you just discounted?
Yeah, most of our people anyway, we're doing more like the drop-in style classes, just generally even when we were open. So we kept that same format, just so people can, purchase their $10 ticket, they get sent the Zoom code, and then, they just sign up week by week to do it. So that's how it's always worked for us in person, and it turned out to work really well for us in this format too.
Excellent. So was this your usual yoga teacher, and then you were just at the teacher's, or the teacher set up at home?
Yeah.
A camera or the phone or whatever.
Yeah, so it's the same. We decided to keep to the same day, same time, same everything that we normally would, just to kind of give people a sense of normalcy a little bit. And then luckily our yoga instructor is married to someone who produces video. So that's worked out really well for everyone involved, because he's got her set up pretty well as far as a video to for her to see everyone, and then an iPad for her to be able to talk and stuff. So it worked out really great.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm sure people really appreciated it.
This is Karen Tyra. I'm from Lurie Garden in Chicago, and
Karen?
Hi. we too had our what we call Peace Yoga. There's a group called the Peace School in Chicago, and they do their classes. And what they did for us, it's a little different for Lurie Garden than a lot of gardens, because all of our programs are free anyway. So, but our yoga instructor, rather than just do the Sunday morning yoga that we typically do, they had provided a whole list of their classes every day. They have live classes, and then they have one that's a YouTube class, so you can, a YouTube video rather, so you can just watch that whenever. But they provided for us the links to all of their classes, and they said, you know, we would like donations, but if people want to do it for free, that was more their point. So they have yoga and meditation. So we have a list of 2 classes every day of the week that people could join in live, which was kind of cool.
Nice. That's great. And that's just through your website, Karen?
I actually contacted all of the people that had signed up for all the canceled classes and individually sent each of them the link to the organization. It's called the Peace School. So the link to the Peace School's website where they list everything. And they do this for everybody. So on their website, they have it. You can pay what you can pay.
Nice. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I've noticed it seems like a lot of places are really being very generous with the types of programming that they are making available to people to get them through.
Yeah.
Karine from Royal Botanical Gardens, I might as well just say some of the things that we're doing. So not only are we offering, we're going to be offering some of our public programs, more sort of the gardening and that sort of type of program that we're going to be offering a little later on, but we're also working really hard at getting things available for teachers, whether it's videos with applicable worksheets or whether it's just online activities or just some activity sheets that you could just randomly choose to do. And that's for parents as well. But we're also starting to put together regular video conference programs that we're putting out there and making available for schools. Most of our stuff will be for free, but we also have included a donation button on the website. And what's very lucky for us is we've had a funder that would be willing to match donations. So that's a big help for us. And then there are some programs that we will be charging a fee for, and perhaps slightly less than what we would have been charging, but things are slowly rolling out.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work and a lot of new areas to explore. I know a lot of gardens offer obviously all kinds of adult education and lectures and seminars and such, and especially the classes that are maybe for certificates, have multiple, like they might meet 6 to 8 times. I know last time different people were talking about how they were exploring how to keep those classes going. Are there any updates on that, or just some things that people are able to kind of get those programs back up and going?
Kristie, Katie Hetrick is raising her hand. Did you want to say something, Katie?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't see on my screen people raising their hands, so I might need some help, with that. So sorry if people are like wanting to talk and I'm not realizing it.
No, we got you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that's okay. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to talk over anybody, but this is Katie Hetrick. I'm calling in from the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden, and we were just experimenting with Instagram live videos where we had some of our garden experts just talking back and forth via a split screen on Instagram. So it was kind of cool because we didn't have to do a lot of promotion. Well, we didn't want to do a lot of promotion because we didn't really know what we were doing or how it would work.
Yeah.
And just like, there's always like sound issues when you're outside and things like that. And our horticulturists for the most part are working at home. So we wanted to make sure, everyone had a good connection, but it's been an opportunity. The 2 times that we did it this morning and on Tuesday. We're thinking of doing it regularly on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 10, and just telling our audience that they can, tune in via Instagram. They just have to like our page and be notified. And it's an opportunity for them, our gardeners at home who haven't had that interaction with us because we've had to cancel all of our plant sales. to be able to
Right.
ask questions. Yeah, it's been interesting, and they can just type via the comments. And we had 2 of our horticulturists, because that way, if things were kind of slow, they could talk to each other. And
Oh,
people seemed
great
to enjoy that.
idea. Yeah, make it kind of like a talk show then, in a sense, where you have you know, like your co-host.
Right, we're calling it a show.
Excellent. So so in their home gardens, I mean, are you just coming up with topics that are just like kind of timely, like, oh, okay, at this time of year, you know, it's time to get your tomatoes planted, or I don't know. I mean, did you put together like a whole kind of script, if you will, or, you know, what the topic themes are?
I think that's ideal, Kristie. I think that's the way to go. But to be honest, like the answer was no. Like what we scripted was to say, you know, thank you. We're so glad that we can be here with you, working from home, and, you know, give, especially at our university, which also has a medical facility, UC Davis Health, and to give a shout out to those people.
Right.
Literally, you could hear helicopters flying over them going to the hospital. But it was, they're not so excited to show their gardens, because I don't know if it's the same with where you all work, but a lot of our horticulturists are very, they're perfectionists. They're not ready to show their own gardens. But
right, they think it's not good enough or whatever.
They will, they're going to, but they're trying to get things prepped. And so I think that we've talked about things like vegetable gardening, right? It's a good time now. And just sort of our philosophy on gardening. And they always have like some kind of an example they can show. So it's not like a tour or anything, but they might, you know, do an example of like how to prune certain things, or how to vegetable garden. And I'm blanking right now because I'm nervous, but we do have a list of things that we will get better at producing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hand it to you just to get something out there. And so are you, like, you're advertising it mostly to your garden members?
We advertised it a little bit on campus. And like I said, we weren't so sure we wanted a big audience, but now that I think that people are comfortable, and we start to maybe produce it a little bit more with topics, we will advertise it to, you know, via our social media, via our email lists, and our university is very interested in also promoting things like this to students to keep them engaged.
Right. Yeah, because you probably had that situation too, where the students who normally would be on campus have gone home, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our if you're interested, the return rate for students in the dorms is only 20%. So we had 80% decide not to come, just to do online learning. Another 20%
Wow.
that are here because they don't have some place to go for the most part.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's definitely a new world. Others who have been trying something this past week, or, you know, what because it seems like, oh my gosh, everybody is in all kinds of meetings with your internal staffs, just, you know, trying to make plans.
Sarah Rayner has raised her hand.
Yay. All right.
Before Sarah
So-
talks, I just have one quick interjection.
Yeah.
Just wanted to point out the Q&A is live, and we've had a couple people post things. Thanks to Nathan, who posted a website to some of their resources. If anyone has any links they'd like to share there, please do. There's also a little bit of discussion happening there also. So keep the conversation going, but just know that the Q&A box is available to post questions and resources.
So yeah, go ahead. Oh, was it Sarah? Who had raised their hand. Okay, or anybody else who would like to unmute and share.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Sarah. This computer I've had some issues with in a meeting we did the other day, also in a Teams meeting. But I'm from LSU Ag Center Botanic Gardens, and we've been trying to slowly push out things as well to the community. We have been working on our website, and I'm the education coordinator out there. I made an educator's corner sometime back, and the educator's corner, you're welcome to access its teachers, but we're going to maybe change the wording up a little bit. We're talking about that today to let parents know that this is something that they can also access, and for activities, short videos about things in nature. I have it divided up according to grade level also. It was geared to go kind of with our Trees and Trails program, but it's more I designed it for teachers to do pre-trip and post-trip activities, but in the classroom. And so it can be done at home. We have that. We also have a citizen science webpage with lots of I put brief information about many links to citizen science websites. And I've been trying for some time now to encourage people to be involved with different types of community or citizen science type of projects. And I'm doing little blurbs with that too, little things on specific ones like Frog Watch, on spring peepers, for people to get out. They're outside anyway, and so to take their observations to a higher level and be able to help with conservation programs. We have also been using Instagram and Facebook, putting up different pictures and information, trying to engage the community that way, asking for them to send pictures as well. Something that we're doing is we're going to have contests where people send in photos, and some of the staff will vote on it, and we'll choose like a photo a week or two, and then we'll have plants available that we'll put outside the gate at a certain time, where if they want to come by and pick them up, they can as a gift. And that's kind of a neat thing. Today I was at the Botanic Gardens, we went through the gates a little and did a video. I did a video with a director that we'll end up posting, and it's highlighting a number of pollinator plants. And so trying to show, we took the plants, we kind of grouped them together and went through and showed, just a little bit about each plant. And so people will be able to see that. What we did get today that is interesting, it hasn't been posted yet, and you may want to look at it, is you're probably familiar with Nature Conservatory. Are y'all familiar with Nature Conservatory?
Nature Conservancy?
Yes, it's a national
group. Yes.
Okay, so anyway, they have, it's a nationwide, and they've had a lot of people work with them, and they have a whole link for parents and educators with activities and videos, and anyone can attach that link to their webpage or whatever for people to go to. It's incredible. I totally recommend that you look at it. I just saw it for the first time just a few minutes before I came on to this webinar. And so, I mean, we're looking at wanting to do short videos, and some things like with the sun, we missed our plant sale. So like so many people couldn't have our plant sale. So we have some plants, and we have a room that has some succulents in it. And so what we're going to do, I'm a master gardener also, but some of the master gardeners who don't want to come out, with the COVID cases are really rapidly increasing here in Louisiana. We're just, it's horrible. But so what we're doing is there's someone on staff who's videotaping some of the succulents, and we'll hopefully send that to a master gardener who does specialize, so to speak. It's one of his hobbies, and have him fill in some words. And so to push out these little things that are 4 minutes or less, just to try and get people. I do have a question. Okay, so this is taking it outside of a backyard at home. And what I would like to do is somehow engage people on the street. Okay, so in your neighborhood, like I've seen these videos on TV where they're showing, like, someone comes out with a boom box or something. They play this music at a certain time of day, and people in the neighborhood are out on that block maintaining a good social distance, and they're all kind of out dancing to that song. Or so there's a lot of sidewalk chalk going on.
Yep.
Pictures. Adults and children are doing that in my neighborhood. I do a lot of birding, and so I'm going to set up this afternoon a bird feeder station in my front yard. I have one in my backyard, so that when people walk by, I want somehow to engage people, not at a safe distance, not just in their backyard, but as they walk in the neighborhood, because there are a lot of walkers now getting out, and for them to be able to see and maybe teach something, a little snippet of, look at this bird. Do you see any cardinals? And then maybe something with eBird, has anyone done this? Has anyone tried in their own neighborhood, taken and brought it out that way, even extended it? Anyone?
Good question.
Oh, this is Emily Griswold from UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden, Katie's colleague, actually. And with the neighborhood thing, what I have seen is that a couple of our volunteers who are also master gardeners, they have been starting to put signage in their front yards with the names of plants that are blooming. So they're basically putting plant labels in their front yards. So one of our volunteers was showing this photo of a Beschorneria yuccoides. It's like this, kind of tropical looking plant with a really cool flower stalk. It's the first time it's bloomed. And so she put a little sign in her front yard about it so that people walking by could learn more about it. So that's actually, we haven't done anything to prompt that. That's just naturally happening. But I think those folks who are like our Arboretum volunteers, master gardeners, may be primed for that kind of thing.
Right.
Almost like a distributed botanic garden.
Right. Well, and you think about like all the staff are all spread out too. And yeah, are there opportunities for some messaging or, again, maybe reaching some new audiences even, in a sense that, we talk about keeping connection with kind of our existing visitors, if you will. But, what you are talking about is just making me think of, that maybe there's more opportunity to somehow reach others as well. And even simple things like, just through the sidewalk chalk, or doing your bird, the bird feeder out front, and the plant labels. And, there's probably a number of kind of low tech things that, are really kind of fun, or, kind of
fun.
A little more interactive too.
There was a thing they showed on TV of a lady in Zachary, Louisiana, and she took a whole bunch of large stuffed animals and set them in her front yard, set it up like a little safari looking scene.
Oh, gosh.
And all these kids parents were driving by with kids in their car, and they were just like you know, they'd slowed down, they all stayed in their car, and they were so excited, the kids, to see, you know, it's just something small, something to engage the people. And I think that that signage sounds really neat. What some of your master gardeners are doing in Davis, California. And in this, on the signage, there could even be a link put on there to the website of your arboretum, of, you know, UC Davis Public Gardens and Arboretum, which is a wonderful place. I was there in March last year for Learning by Leading. But I think it does bring in a new population of people that may, if they know about the Botanic Gardens through a link that's possibly put on the signage, or you know, on whatever is someone wants to do, they can bring more people in. You know, they can bring people to the website, and then they can explore and see what the gardens, you know, we're sometimes considered the best kept secret. And this is an opportunity, I think. I'm just trying to find what can be done, because I really, there's an urgency I feel when I see all these people walking by, you know, to somehow get them engaged that way.
Yeah, good.
I see that Cynthia Clemmer would like to say something.
Perfect, Cindy.
Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to comment and say, I love that idea of having signs out in the yard with plant names. It's like random acts of nomenclature. I think that,
oh, I love that, Cindy. That's perfect.
And I think
wording.
Maybe you could, I mean, maybe it starts with staff, but it would kind of be cool to have like a little campaign where I keep thinking of things that we can put out there online or through social media, but this might be a way to engage some of your members and to touch base with them. To, you know, everybody gets asked to have political signs in their yards, but wouldn't it be nice to have signs in your yard that promote horticulture and public horticulture and say, hey, I'm a member of the blah, blah, blah botanical garden, you know, ask me how, or whatever. I don't know, maybe that's completely cheesy, but I just love the idea of plant names appearing seriously out in the yards.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like around here, all of our, well, we work primarily, they're, I think, a national franchise. It's called Fast Signs. So, you know, we've been working with our local Fast Signs for years, like making all of our signage and such. And it's interesting because they're still open with curbside pickup because, my gosh, so many businesses need some variation on COVID-19 signage. Anyway, so it was just making me think, like, I mean, they're still open. They can still fabricate things. Like if you figured out a way to make like a branded something that then, and I don't know, it's like maybe too much to try to get it out to people. But anyway, I just, you know, perhaps there's some other things there to explore because, my gosh, I think we're still in this for some time. I mean, now that, like at least in Illinois, we got the stay at shelter in place order extended through April 30th. And anyway, it's, you know, we may have more time to like explore some of these opportunities. One thing I just wanted to kind of ask about too is, you know, there's a big day coming up. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, April 22nd. And, you know, are some people thinking about that in the sense of how to tie specifically into Earth Day and not miss, you know, not miss that chance?
Well, I know here in Rockford, Illinois, we actually had been working on this for a while with one of our other local nature centers of doing like kind of like a countywide bio blitz. That's happening, I think I can't remember if it's in the end of April or early May, but I think that's going to be, actually, if anything's going to be good for that, it might be this, because people are looking for something to do and they're out walking and exploring places.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's all through iNaturalist too.
Sorry, what was the last part?
It's through iNaturalist, like it's
got it.
Cities connecting, no, it's cities something. It's a nationwide thing.
I think it's cities connecting children to nature is what you're thinking about.
Or is it, this is Mackenzie Knight Fox from the Laurel Hill Cemetery. Is it this City Nature Challenge by chance?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, we're participating in that with, as part of Philadelphia. So, and that they're promoting the use of the, or promoting City Nature Challenge to do online through iNaturalist, because you can be 6 feet away from another person doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We do that too. And in Texas, there's a competition between cities. Like I know in particular, Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio and Houston participate. And it's like this annual competition to see which city can have the most postings. And our park rangers really get into it, and they're out and about a lot, and it takes place over a certain number of weeks. And I need to get back in touch with them to see if they've thought about linking it to the Earth Day anniversary, because that is a really good way you can do it. You can participate whether you're in your own backyard or at the garden or out on a trail or in the middle of nowhere. It's just you and your phone. So it's a good option for decentralized participation.
Yeah, good point.
Kristie, I just
yeah.
have a couple of things quick from the Q&A.
Sure.
One, just there is a question for Emily Griswold in the answered section about which master gardener made her signs. And then there's also a question from Queens Botanic Garden about how folks are dealing with reaching students who have varying access to technology.
Good, yeah, both are good.
Oh, so this is Emily. I haven't seen both examples. I just heard about one of the examples, but the example that I saw, the master gardener laminated the sign. So it was just, you know, paper laminated. So I think I'm looking at the Q&A in Seattle, that could weather, you know, for a few months. I think that would be fine. So it was pretty simple materials.
Excellent. Always good when someone has a laminator at home or some, you know, crafty way to get that accomplished. And then the next question, have people been working on, you know, just because, I mean, only so many students have computers at home. I noticed there was an article in the Chicago Tribune today where I think CPS, the Chicago Public Schools, is really trying to get more computers, you know, more broadly to kids at home. But, you know, access is you know, again, it's a whole other thing. So are some of the rest of you, you know, discussing that and, you know, coming up with any other alternatives?
This is Emily again. So we're dealing a lot with UC Davis students, and even with that audience of college students, not everyone has a laptop. So we are fortunate in that the university is actually setting up a whole system for loaner laptops for spring quarter, since everything's online. But it is a concern for us because we have switched our Learning by Leading internship. We had 130 interns last quarter, and we're switching it to this virtual platform. And so we're actually right now in the process, we just surveyed all the students to see who would want to continue, because it will be a substantially different internship than they originally signed up for. But then also what their technology access is. So, and I'm not sure what our solutions are, but at least we're starting by figuring out who has access.
Excellent. I don't know if the person from Queens wants to talk a little bit more about what they're facing.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. So we're in New York City, and the Department of Education did create a system for giving kids some technology if they don't have anything at home, we're
Uh-huh.
running into some issues where it comes to multiple kids in a household.
Ah,
And doing virtual school simultaneously as trying to do other things. But also, in addition to that, so we've been working on taking some of our school programs digital so that we can offer some sort of support for our school teachers and the school kids that they work with. Because we had to cancel all of our programming, obviously, so all these kids are not getting field trips, and we're trying to do something in their stead. And one of the issues that we're running into is that uh, platforms like Zoom
uh-huh.
also vary in accessibility depending on the kind of device that the participant is using. So even there's a difference between a Chromebook and a regular laptop, or and that really affects the ability of the kids to participate.
Mm-hmm.
We were hoping to be able to have some level of interactivity in the live sessions, and it's proving to be a little extra challenging with this diversity of devices that they have. On top of not having really any sense of what the kids have in their homes
Right.
to do activities with. And then building on top of that, one of our most popular workshops is Plants We Eat, where
Uh-huh.
we use a lot of sort of back and forth between we eat plants and plants are food type of thing. And even knowing that in our communities we have a lot of food insecurity, the notion of having kids use beans for planting when they could be relying on those for eating has been kind of a challenge too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of challenges and we have not had many opportunities for solutions yet.
Yeah, I think, yeah, what you're reflecting, you're not alone, it's, yeah, sometimes, it's hard to know what the best approach is. And because everything is so separated now, that it's hard to even get those assessments made or to get the equipment and then get it distributed. It's just a really tricky situation. So thank you for just being cognizant and trying to, figure out different ideas and ways to support your community. I know next week we'll be talking more about, doing a deeper dive into the whole topic of technology, and, what all that means and looks like, and how to try to use different types of technology. But, we may go back to too, I don't, it's just like, to me, it's off, like what we were just talking about, the whole thing, just people walking by, just that whole kind of person to person thing too, and how we can, try to kind of maximize that with the current guidelines of, not getting too close together. Are there some other, are people willing to share just what their organizations have been, what you've even just been kind of working on this past week since we met last time? There was just a flurry of shared URLs and all kinds of things. Last week, did people try things? Did you find, I don't, again, it's funny how long a week can be and how short a week can be, but, any feedback on what you have noticed, it seems to be helping people and kind of working, if you will, or, some things maybe too that you tried that, maybe are either taking longer to see some effect from, or just that you realize maybe what wasn't the best approach.
Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Right.
While we're waiting on that, I just wanted to add that in our COVID-19 part of our website, we have a webinars section where you can find the recording of the first meeting we had here, as well as a very extensive Word document that Corrine was very great at putting together, and I did notice that it was editable. So if you do have additional resources you want to throw in there, hashtags, websites, other resources that you have found useful, information about the BioBlitz and the nature programs, those are all in there for you to access.
All right, thanks, Joan. Last week too, we talked a lot about, obviously, social media and how to reach people. And there's like 1 million hashtags now. Have some of you had some more experience with that? And are people participating? And
not to put her on the spot, but in the Q&A, Christine Chesler-Stoll has said that some posts from Michigan's Mathi Botanical Garden and Nichols Arboretum had some good social media posts over the past 2 weeks, if she'd be willing to share.
right, and you just have to unmute yourself and then you can easily share. And as some of you are kind of new, I mean, we've been Zooming so much these last, 2 weeks.
Oh, she says that she doesn't have a microphone for this one, but she did write a good bit into the Q&A. So.
Okay, cool. Do you want to share some of that, or can you probably,
Sure.
or is everybody reading that?
She said, posts have come from the skeleton crew of horticulture folks on site to show our conservatory. They had a great April Fool's post yesterday with plants with googly eyes, but also those people working remotely. They had Flower Friday, Tree Tuesday, and a post of our new remote coworkers, so pets, plants, and people. And they're getting much more engagement on their social media.
Right. Oh, because they're like showing their staff at home, like the plants, the pets, plants, and people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a really fun idea. Because it seems like that's the one thing that's helping people feel more connected is, like when, you're on one of these webinars and, the cat decides to jump up and walk across, in front of the camera and what have you. Or the kids go running, through the back as they're playing chase in the house. It actually helps people feel more connected, and, we're kind of learning more about each other in ways that, when we go to our places of employment, oftentimes these things don't, it's not like they're coming up, but, when we're in our home settings, it kind of lends itself to that. Are other people doing some things, kind of getting back to this kind of interactivity? Because to me, that's what's kind of fun about the idea with the plants, pets, and people. It just makes it a little more interactive and personal. Or there's some other things that are kind of floating out there where people are trying, to make some kind of personal connections, or make it at least interactive where people can somehow participate.
Mallory has raised her hand.
Awesome.
Hey, this is Mallory from Mounts Botanical Garden in Florida. We tried to do kind of an interactive, we had a bunch of fairies left over from a fairy garden class. And so we'd taken a bunch of photos, like when the people go away, the magic comes out. Tried to get people to kind of bite on that with their kids and drawings, and really only got 2 responses back. We went back to more of our classic, just here's the beautiful garden where, our horticulturists are here. Use the Our Gardens, Your Home hashtag from Longwood, and we had a ton of comments from people posting their backyards. So it turned out that's really what people wanted to share. But it's been, kind of nice for our members just to show off their plants and still feel like it matters to them. So.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a good point, because we
That's a
did
good
a
one.
video a couple days ago about like rain barrels when it was raining, and so I did a video in my backyard, and that was probably the most engagement we had, was just other people like, look at my rain barrel, look at mine. It was like everyone wanted to show off their rain barrel, which was kind of fun.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. I joined this local cooking school called the Chopping Block. They had it's funny how many Facebook groups, all this stuff you start joining just because it's like, yeah, why not? Might as well join that one too. And so this one was kind of fun. They were posting like a cooking challenge. That was the thing for this Facebook group. Every week they were posting a cooking challenge. And then you could, then the idea is like you send a picture and the recipe for like what you did. And so the first one, I kind of got on too late to do the first one, but the theme was to do a family recipe. So, seeing then the different pictures and what people were talking, were sharing these different family recipes, and all was just, again, that kind of, it reminded me of your like, everybody wants to show their rain barrel, tapping into these things that we can do to have people share from home, what they enjoy doing, and kind of bringing people together with those opportunities too, versus just, pushing out content.
Kristie, just tagging onto that, the rain barrel video, there's a question from Cindy Clemmer in the Q&A. Though she hasn't used it herself, she's heard that Seesaw was a good platform for creating short videos for posting. Has anyone used Seesaw or any other ideas? They want to create short segments to comprise a virtual tour and or plant highlights or demos for home gardeners. And it's just looking for either experience with Seesaw or others, or suggestions for software platforms that are best for this activity.
Yeah, I have to say, I haven't heard of Seesaw. I mean, not that I'm super conversant on all kinds of platforms.
Well, maybe next week we'll have more, more on that.
Right. Yeah, we have, actually for next week too, what's very nice is 2 people from the TIPS community. So I know technology, I think, is the T. Joan, do you know the IPS?
Yes, Technology Innovation Professional section, but now it's community. So
right, but they were formed back in the day when we had sections. Anyway, 2 members in the leadership positions in TIPS will be joining us next week as panelists. So I think that'll be terrific, because then we have more the folks who are using technology day in and day out and who have a lot of experience. Corrine also has a lot of experience, and she's going to be our moderator next week. Corrine Davidson Taylor from Royal Botanic Garden in Ontario.
And Kristie, as timekeeper, just so you know, we have about 5 minutes for any final questions here.
Okay. Yeah, does anybody have other things? And again, even if there's just something you'd like to share, something that you're just really starting to think about or trying to figure out, or, what have you, please feel free to unmute yourself and join in.
This is Mackenzie Nightfox from Laurel Hill, the Friends of Laurel Hill and West Laurel Hill Cemeteries in Philadelphia again. And we actually have been kind of doing content not specifically geared toward everything that's going on, but just trying to keep it light. But we do have a meeting with a bunch of staff to discuss what our cohesive strategy is going forward in terms of our educational programs, working with our volunteers, donations and giving and all of that, because we want to be sensitive to the fact that people are getting a lot right now, and so what is the strategy around it? So I don't have any answers for you yet, but it'll be an interesting meeting to say the least, and I'm happy to hear things that other organizations are doing to make sure their messaging is cohesive through all of this and not too much, essentially.
Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, you bring up a really good point, because I think we're in a time too when, just with the daily news, and I don't think in my lifetime, I have hardly ever experienced anything that day after day, week after week, all you see in the newspaper or perhaps on, television news and such is just about the virus. And so I think it's, that whole thing too of like what becomes overwhelming for people, and how that, hopefully what we all do is, add some of that levity and the beauty that's still in the world, and the spring and the nature processes that are still happening despite the virus, to again try to calm a bit of that overwhelm, because I would think a lot of people, I would guess, are experiencing that. And then if you do have illness, friends who are ill, or that then just adds a whole other level of worry and such for people just trying to, help those who are ill. Okay, well, on that chipper note, it's just about 3:28, and to stay cognizant of everybody's schedule, thank you so much for taking time to join us in this virtual way. Again, next week, if you haven't signed up already, please go to the association site and sign up for the technology discussion if you would like to be part of that. That will also be at 3:30 Eastern Time. We're also working on a couple of other ideas. We'll probably skip that week of April 16th, but be looking for some other webinars, and we'll be doing as much as we can to help in this sharing and supporting time. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your work at home day to join us.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.